to the next item on the list, and that would be the Jussie. I'm sorry. In respect to Chris Rock, Jussie Smollett, because he no longer he doesn't get the U anymore. No more respect for Jussie. Um, yeah, as you know, last week, all charges, all 16 counts, felony counts, were dropped from Jussie Smollett, and he was released. He was released from prison, and he forfeited his $10,000 bond. And I gotta say, this was very surprising to me. Very, very surprising. And I think the reaction from everyone, people were surprised. Because it wasn't as though he pleaded down, right? Because I think some of like the excuse, the rationale behind letting Jussie go was, he had done community service, and this was like his first time. This is his first offense, and so I think people would have understood or been able to accept, if he pleaded down to a misdemeanor, and and he did get the slap on the wrist, but that's not what happened. He got everything dropped. No prosecution. It didn't go to trial. He wasn't found guilty, or not guilty by a jury of his peers. It's just it wasn't because the evidence was no good, or it was tainted, or the prosecution thought that they didn't have strong enough case against him. I think one of the district attorneys came out and said, like, no, there's a really strong case against Jussie Smollett, and they thought that they had a very strong feeling that they could get a conviction. And so when it came out that all charges were dropped, and that his case was sealed, like no one could see the details of what went down. People on the left and the right were just flabbergasted, utterly and totally flabbergasted by what had happened, and rightfully so. I think when you had like so much evidence, you had like the video of the brothers, buying the paraphernalia, or as it were, the rope for the noose, the red hats. It was just it's absolutely astonishing. And then of course what is it? And then of course you have it come to light that I think the prosecuting attorney, she recused herself, but then she didn't recuse the entire office. Right? And then the way I heard it explained was, it's not enough that she, Kim Fox, that's the prosecutor. It wasn't enough. I think she's the DA or ADA, or she's the, was she the federal prosecutor? God, I'm sorry, guys. Oh, okay. So she's a state attorney for Cook County, in Illinois. So yeah, she's a federal employee. Or at least not that federal, state. Sorry, state. So she's a state attorney for Cook County, and she initially recused herself because she was kind of close to, or she had some sort of association with Jussie. But I heard that it wasn't like just recusing herself wasn't enough because she had to, it was like the entire case should have been sent off to another county or some other authority within the state because her office was still handling it, and she, even though she may not have handled all or she may not have been the one, the tip of the spear, but she could have still had some influence on her subordinates. And then it came out that a former Michelle Obama staffer might have applied some influence on the situation. That's not great. Just being real, that's not great. And I mean, it's bad when the mayor of Chicago, Rahm Emanuel, a Democrat, uh, I think he's somewhat tied to the Obamas. I can't remember exactly, but he even came out and was like, "This is a miscarriage or this is a whitewashing of justice." And he was angry. Along with the police inspector. He was pissed off at Jussie from day one. And I'm no fan of Rahm Emanuel. Just putting it out there, but in this case, I must agree with him. In this one instance, I must stand behind Rahm Emanuel and say, yes, I'm with this guy fully, because at least on this case, he is speaking out against justice. He is speaking, for because because I think everyone and the mother thought that he was just gonna throw his Hollywood money around, and his status as an actor, or a black man, or a gay man, or a gay black man, or whatever configuration thereof, and get a reduced charge at the very least, and get like a fine, a slap on the wrist, and community service. We were all expecting that. We were maybe as cynical as that sounds, I think that's what we were all thinking that he was going to get. But no, not even he completely skated. All 16 charges. It wasn't as though it was like 3 charges. It was 16 charges. And and he just came out and was like, oh, you know what? I just want to get this behind me. I just want to get back to work. Ooh, excuse me. But if he was a truly innocent man, if he really didn't do this to himself, he would be very upset. I would imagine being very upset. Being accused of something that I didn't do, and then on top of that, having me forfeit my $10,000 bond. Because that's then kind of an admission of guilt. Or some sort of culpability. And if I was like, if I was truly the victim, if I was truly wrong and there was an injustice done to me, I would not just want to sweep this under the rug and go about my business. I would want to seek justice, but that's not what Jussie Smollett is doing. He's trying to get beyond this. He just wants to get his life back, but he's not going to get his life back. Per Chris Rock and the roast job that the well-deserved roast job he did at the NAACP Image Awards of Jussie Smollett. It's like your career is done. You had it all. You had the light skin. You had the victim. You had the victimhood card. And Chris Rock was saying like, man, if I had all those things, I could have done. What my career would have been if I had all of the things that you had. And and it was really funny, and super on point. So, but I guess I think because all of this kind of shady stuff that's happened, it kind of raised the eyebrows of the FBI, and I think even Trump said that he is going to begin an investigation to the FBI on this matter, and also I think if anything the small light of hope is the federal charges, because he's still being investigated for for mail fraud, possibly for allegedly sending that hate mail to himself. So there might be some hope yet, and also federal charges come with are you don't mess around. You don't want federal charges ever to come down on you. State charges or whatever. Yes, they're severe, but federal charges. If you're convicted, he could lose the right to vote. He could lose the right to he could lose his right to bear arms or even travel. So should have made a deal, dude. Should have made a deal. There's one more thing. Oh, yes. Rahm Emanuel, or was it the police chief? Either way, I think they did present him with a bill of $130,000 for the overtime, and I think the resources that were expended on this investigation. I think this is kind of a I think this might be a test, because if he pays this bill from the city, then it might make him look more guilty, regardless of his guilt or innocence. Because if he pays this bill, it's kind of like he's accepting that he did those things. He did those things to make the police waste their time and resources and all that stuff. And so, it might. So if he pays the $130,000, then I think that might be a bad move for him going forward. I know today that there were protests out front of the Fraternal Order of Policemen in Chicago. Just protesting against all of this. Jussie Smollett nuttiness. And I think some of the protest signs were hilarious. A friend of mine sent me some stuff. Let me see. Just like they're protesting outside of the Chicago fraternal order of police. There are signs that said get the Fox out of here. Referencing Kim Fox, the state attorney, and then we'll get another one like Kim Fox listens to Nickelback. I don't know why, but I find that one particularly hilarious. Um, oh, here's one that actually referenced Jussie Smollett, and it's corruption so bad you could smell it. And that one was pretty clever, also. Um, yeah, he should have taken a plea deal. He done goofed. I mean, because just as recently as this past weekend, SNL even roasted him with. They did a skit about him and he was late. It's like, oh yeah, but you never believe it. Yeah, I was attacked by a Nazi octopus and all these ludicrous excuses. But just another angle on this whole thing is the show Empire, and I heard the ratings for it took a really big hit. After the news, of all the charges being dropped from Jussie, and it's kind of sad because, I mean, I've never watched Empire. Just full disclosure, I just didn't think it was gonna be, a show for me. Or at the time, I was watching, I don't know when the, I just. Yeah, I think I was watching. I was watching too many shows already, and so regardless, it's kind of sad because this show, because of this controversy, might get canceled, and it might be putting a whole mess of people out of work, and I'm not just talking about the actors. I'm talking about everyone associated with this show, like from the sound guy to the camera people to the gappers to the craft foods to the drivers to wardrobe to hair and makeup, editing, all sorts of people. If this show gets canceled, they're gonna get hit. And it kind of sucks because these people who just wanted to make a good show, are gonna be on the hook with Jussie, because for what, he wanted to up his profile, he wanted to get more money. He wanted to increase the sale of his album that was coming out. It was just selfish. It was just selfish, and and I don't think the people that work on on Empire deserved it.